Hello there. You are on to the Man to Man Session podcast. We raise kings to embrace their masculinity and amplify their influence in the society. Welcome. The Man to Man Session podcast is about to begin.
So one of the reasons why we decided to kick off How I Met My Wife, beginning from season 1, which held 2 years ago, and by the grace of God, this is season 3, yeah? And I can tell you that we've recorded a series of testimonies. And we've had persons who, like for one, yeah, I think during season 1, after we premiered, a lady reached out, and when she saw the outline of the topics, she reached out to ask for the link that she thought that it was only meant for single men alone, that the content of what she's seen will be beneficial to married men, that she wants the link to share to her husband, that she wants her husband to listen to it. So one of the reasons why we started How I Met My Wife is because we realized that for the guy, unlike the ladies who were groomed and prepared for marriage sort of right from when they were young, right? For every typical home, you would find the girl right from when she's young. Both parents are being protective of her. Both parents are ensuring that she receives all the advice, all the tutorship that she requires, right? Even when she is about to, step into that next phase of her life, and her parents are prepping her to be rightly positioned, she's being equipped and empowered with the right knowledge, and right from the tender age, she knows the books to read. But for we as guys, I do not know about every other person, but I'll speak for myself and I'll speak for a group of guys that I am aware of. We did not have this, right? And I can tell you that by research, right, we've been able to find out that there are more persons, more guys who grew up and they did not have that opportunity to learn about relationship, to learn about marriage. So you find a guy stepping into marriage. He is about to transition from a single guy to being a husband, and he thinks it's only about to get money and get married. You find a single guy, he doesn't know what to do when he is single, and he realizes that when he becomes married, there are some things he still did not do. That is why you find some guys that even when they are married, they are still craving those moments, and they still want to act as if they are bachelors. They still crave those moments. Why? Because they did not fully transition. There was a gap, right? You also find that some married men, there are still some lapses in their life. Why? Because there are some things that they should have worked on while they were single and they did not work on it. And then you also look at the generational reoccurrences of children growing up and they are having absentee fathers. That is because when these fathers were young and they were single, they were not equipped, they were not trained on what to do to become fathers. So they only thought, because they saw, right, the way you grow is the way you grew. They saw their parents, they saw how their fathers lived. But they forget that you may be a millennium and your parents would have been Generation X, but your children would be Gen Zs. If you are a Gen Z and you had millennial parents, your children would be Gen Alpha. There is a change in generation, so you cannot raise your children the same way that you were raised. You will need a higher knowledge. You will need to be equipped. And that equipping does not start when you are already married. That equipping doesn't start when you already have the children. It starts before. It starts before. You do not prepare your bed for sleep when you are already lying on it. You prepare your bed for sleep before you get on the bed. So there's a whole lot of preparation that needs to go on to help every man transition from being bachelors into husband and available fathers, available physically, available emotionally, available financially, and available spiritually. Gone are the days where a man would allow just the wife alone to be praying in the house. No, we need to realize that as men, as husbands, as fathers, we are also the priests of the home, because as the man goes, so does the home goes. That is destiny. The father and the husband determines the leadership trajectory of the family, because you set the pace. So it is required of the man who is a husband to see the way, to know the way, that this is the right way, to go that way, and to come back and take every member of his family through that path. A confused man would raise a confused family. So these are the things that we are trying to ensure that we address, and lots more in How I Met My Wife every year. And we carefully select our speakers who are married men. Either they are newly wedded or they've been in the marriage for a while, and we bring them on board to share their experiences, to share their challenges, to share their struggles, right? Because we are building a community of men that are able to be vulnerable, are able to learn from each other, are able to empower each other. No woman out there would understand the struggles of a man. It is a fellow man that can understand what we are going through. So we bring everybody who has gone ahead of us to come and encourage us, so that we can also learn from them. This is why we set up How I Met My Wife. So every year, How I Met My Wife will be loaded with power-packed speakers. You do not want to miss any session.